Okay, so here's the question is, can you discuss the challenges of working in real estate law and that you wanted to move to another state and practicing real estate law? Okay, so there's different types of real estate law. So there's litigation, which is a whole, and I don't think you're a litigator, otherwise you would mention that. And then there's leasing, there's purchase and sale. There's a bunch of different types of real estate law. Now, one of the things that concerns me right now about real estate law, just as a practice area, and this does tie into a lot of different practice areas, but real estate law does concern me, is when I started recruiting, it was in the late 1990s. Certainly real estate was an active practice area in certain firms, but it was very difficult for people to get positions in a lot of markets. And that was because the interest rates were about where they are now at 7% plus. And so what happens when the interest rates are high is that tends to depress purchase and sale activity, and whether it's residential or commercial, which is commercial rates are even higher than residential. And so people are just not purchasing stuff. And so that slows things down. The other thing that's happening now, if you're reading news, is there's a huge office glut. So all of these companies like Facebook and Twitter, and Facebook, I guess Twitter is one of them. Yeah, all these companies, Amazon and so forth, are getting rid of a lot of their office space and not using it. So there's a huge glut of places in the market. There's a big trend to work at home. And so I don't think real estate is in great shape at the moment. Those are some of the challenges. And I don't know how long the real estate market will be impacted, but it's a very difficult practice area, I think, in terms of its prognosis for the next year or two, at least. If you do want to continue practicing real estate law, I think you definitely can, and you may be in a large market. One of the things that I talk about on all of these meetings is the different firms you can work at. So the largest firms are your largest clients with the most money to spend, which you would call like I call the five firms. And this is this thing that I developed. And then these are typically like your AmLaw and large firms that represent huge clients. And then they have less money to spend. So you give them like four things. And then when you go down at the bottom here, there's nothing negative about it. It's typically consumers without much money or any money. So these are more consumer facing practice areas, are things where there's not a lot of money involved. And then in your three would be mid-sized companies to large, or small companies to medium with maybe some large with less money. And then these are consumers to small companies. So the point of these rankings it's nothing negative about these, but it's basically showing that these types of employers will hire different types of people. So what I always recommend, if I was a real estate attorney right now, a 5 would be your firms in the largest cities, and think of huge firms in New York City or in LA or all over the country, but your biggest firms representing huge clients doing real estate work. Same thing with 4. If I wanted to move to another market and I was a real estate attorney working at like a 4 firm, I would probably try to move to a smaller firm like a 3 or even a 2, where there might be a little bit more stability, because what happens in large firms is they can hire a lot of people because of their high salaries, and they can overextend themselves and they become dangerous places to work. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't find a very good firm that has a large institutional clients and a lot of work on constantly, but it just is a much more difficult long-term bet. So if I was moving markets and I was a real estate attorney, I probably would, and I was moving to a smaller market, you're probably going to have to move down in terms of the prestige level, maybe. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's safer to move down to a smaller firm.